Hello and welcome to this episode of Pause with Nandini on NRI Affairs. Today, I have two illustrious members of the Indian community here in Australia. With me is Amar Singh and Nadeem Ahmed. Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you, Nandini.
Quick introduction. Amar Singh is a Sikh migrant from India. He founded Turbans for Australia in 2015 to support Australians in and and promote multiculturalism. The charity runs food relief programs across Australia, aids disaster victims, that's floods and bushfires, COVID, and also runs cultural events like Turban Fest to educate Australians about Sikhism. He was named the 2023 Australian of the Year Local Hero and New South Wales Volunteer Leader of the Year. Amar's work counters racism by breaking stereotypes through visible Sikh led charities, fostering trust and inclusion across communities. Of course, he's beloved and known across Australia, and we all see the kind of great work that Amar does. I thought it would be really relevant to have him for this conversation today, and I'll get to that in just a minute. Nadeem Ahmed, of course, is the founder of Indians in Sydney, founded in 2007. He's grown it into New South Wales's largest Indian community platform with over 135,000 members. His initiatives like Samvad and Journey, a migrant story series, foster dialogue, cultural connection, and empowerment for Indian migrants. He organizes support programs such as the Winter Drive and Meal for Everyone, aiding newcomers and those in need. In 2024, Nadeem was recognized at the Asia Australia Business Conclave and Awards for his leadership and community service, emphasizing collaboration and diversity. His work again promotes cross cultural understanding, builds inclusive spaces for the Indian diaspora. So we've got a lot of heavyweight work that both of you do in the community. But today, what I want to talk about is not necessarily pleasant, but it's important to address. At a couple of weeks ago, we had maybe it was only a week and a half ago where a plane crash happened in Gujarat in India, and more than 200 people lost their lives. And of course, the Indian community across the world were affected by it, were in grief, and were expressing solidarity for it. A lot of people also from non-Indian backgrounds expressed their solidarity with the tragedy. However, we also saw a very ugly side come out, which was racist attacks against Indians. Some of the comments, and I'm sorry if these are a little bit triggering for some people, but I think we need to set the context. Less Indians is a good thing. These are all third world mechanics. Slimy, stinky, scamming, arrogant dogs. That's a good start right there. So this is the kind of commentary that also came out in social media once this news got out. Obviously, this is not isolated, and this is not the first time that this has happened. To begin with, I would like to ask each of you for some initial thoughts around racism in Australia and your personal journey. I'll begin with you, Amar.
Well, firstly, I would like to send our condolences from the Australian wider Indian community and general Australians in good faith to all of the victims of the recent air India crash and all of the innocent bystanders that died because we understand if it fell on a very busy place in the town and also a medical college. So you can only work out how much talented youngsters we may have lost in that tragedy. But overall, I think nobody gets on a plane or a new start of their journey to finish it in such a way. So our deepest condolences to all the family of people who were lost there. So thank you.
Thank you for that, Amar. Nadeem, did you have any initial thoughts?
Thank you for having me. Again, condolences to the families. This is very deep and personal topic, personal and very important topic, just not for me, but for every Indian living in Australia, as well as around the globe. What concerns me most is not just the racism itself. What it is becoming a casual normalization of hate. People believe that it's just normal. They can mock anyone, they can talk about anything, not just about Indian, but any. I mean, it covers like any migrant. They are from could be Asian, could be refugees. So how these platforms, especially around social media, all these facts go unchecked, and people are doing mockery, they are stereotyping, they are outright abuse, and people still are laughing at them. You'll see all these comments, and you will see a lot of smiley emoji next to it, a lot of laughter, as if they are making fun of everything. And it this behavior is dehumanize entire culture. It is turning us to into something away from being human. It is sorry.
Please don't be sorry. It's all good.
So it turns the differences into a division. We have seen thousands of people. I mean, it is coming in the media after what happened. However, this has been going on for years. Every time there is something, you will see, if you search on social media, you will see all these hatreds, all this fun, and people are taking this as a very casual affair, but they don't understand it can be very traumatic and can be very disrespectful for other people. So this is just my initial thought. We need to come up with a solution, not just about ourselves, like every single us as a Indians or any migrant or as a human, that we must stand up for against it. We must report these things, because
Yes.
we are if we are smiling or passing smiley on these, we are becoming a part of it.
This
So
is very true. And the thing what you said is very important, that not only is it happening, but it's also becoming normalized. So people are, in a way, getting desensitized to seeing these kind of racist comments. Amar, did you want to share? I know you've had a long journey in Australia, and you have spoken in the past about some of the racism that you've experienced. Did you want to give us some background and context about that?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I just lost connection for a few seconds before.
No
Does
worries.
that the recording?
Yeah, it's all good. We're still recording.
Okay. I think, look, as an ethnic person who migrated to Australia at age of 15, I've seen the transition now to where Indian community is well settled in Australia. I mean, there was a time where you saw an Indigenous person, or somebody South American who had sort of light brown skin, you sort of cross the road to talk to them. Or you saw a Sardar person on a train or a car, you wave to them. But now our Indian community has grown so much. There's food readily available. I mean, gone are the days where you had cravings for golgappas or tikkis. Now it's everywhere. You go somewhere and you're like, oh, okay, I'm not going to eat from this place. I'll eat from the third one. So there's so much variety, and that's great. But one thing is for sure that really sort of ticked me off in a big way was the recent federal election around how much hate narrative was focused on migrants,
Mm,
and that quite concerning, especially this time around in the Australian history. I guess first time India is number one source of migration. It's overtaken UK and New Zealand as well. So it seems like, why are we talking about this now? There are migrants who come from Eastern Europe, who have Anglo names, who might be Caucasian, blonde, blue eyes, XYZ, and they fit right in. Whereas our communities, they're gonna look and stay the way they are. And so we always get the ones to be called out as migrants, and that's quite concerning, especially going forward with our young kids and the next generation. So I've always called it out, and I think we'll continue to do that because it's very important. We ask for a fair society, but also fair treatment, because our communities and our members have put in a lot of hard work to just come to Australia, just to enter Australia. It takes years and years, and hundreds and thousands of dollars to get to that stage where we qualify ourselves and then get the final student visa or PR or whatever it might be, or skilled visa. So it's not like, one day I decide I'm in India, I'm going to go to Australia, pick up my bag and get to the airport. There's years of hard work that go through, people qualified in such way that then only they're allowed to enter the country, and then the whole journey starts again. So it's not like we are asking for any favors. Our people come here, they work through the menial jobs. I know so many who are well qualified, but they're working in different jobs to put food on the table. So our people get to work, and this is a sort of a sad scenario. We've seen the same thing during COVID, where then Prime Minister Scott Morrison announced that they were banning flights from India, and also we're going to fine and put people in prison if they breach the COVID rules around coming out of India. So we raised that issue in media as well. And this is very important. We call out for what it is. I mean, I don't ask everyone in India to come to Australia, but people who belong in Australia, who have a valid visa, a reason, they should be allowed, just like anyone else. Because if we don't stand on that issue, then that means anyone else will be un-Australian and kicked out at any given time. That's not on.
Thank you for that. That's a really powerful comment on what's going on. I do want to ask you both, how does this kind of racism, and you must be in your communities, seeing the impact on young men, right? Because when young men are going out into public spaces, going out into workspaces, how is it impacting the way that they are feeling a sense of belonging or not? And what does this do for a community as a whole?
I think it's quite shocking to what happens around us, not just the men, but I think also women and young professionals. I've seen this right throughout people who work in the corporate world as well, saying that they're getting asked, as a random joke as well, sort of the casual racism. Oh, so, where's home, or when are you going back? And lucky you're in Australia, we don't have plane crashes here. This sort of thing, sort of the passing casual racism is just not on. And what I want to call out here is, on one hand, we have Are You OK and all these well-being days in Australian work life, and yet we're backing out Indians staying in another country. Yeah, I know. Like even today, I'm sure thousands of people would have died in some part of the world, right? We can't have a sad day every day, but you cannot celebrate a tragedy in another country, no matter how much you like or dislike them. And that is the key issue. We must respect human life, and no matter where they are. And that is a bad example for a multicultural Australian society that celebrates Eid, Diwali, and Gurpurabs and the rest on one side, and other side, social media gives people this platform to be wild and racist. And generally speaking, none of these people, I think, would have the courage to say these words to your face. It's easier to be a keyboard warrior, type
Yeah.
something at whatever they feel or whatever they want to say, but not in person. And that is really wrong. We've got to call it out.
Nadeem, what are your thoughts on that?
So, my thought, I agree to what Amar says. We would need to understand why we think that racism actually still exists. Because, when we talk about Australia, we talk about, hey, we are multicultural community, we are this and we are that, and we are celebrating all these festivals for everything. Racism, whether it's online, whether it's offline, it stems from ignorance, right? Insecurity and fear. So ignorance is when the leaders, when the community, the liberal, let it go. All right, so this person maybe is doing it in a fun. He doesn't mean it. So what happening even at the workplace, it still happens. Like you can call out anyone and then say, "Oh, I was just joking."
Yes, yes.
It happens quite a few. And then the second part is insecurity. Then there is a uh, 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 there is a kind of people, they think that all the migrants who are coming to their country are taking away their jobs. The houses are getting expensive. So this myth, this has been created a kind of a myth in the society that this is what happening, which is not true. Again, and then it's the fear that people are taking away jobs, they are taking away. Australia is multicultural, yes, but multiculturalism is just not about food festivals or language week that you just celebrate and hey, everyone comes together and we are celebrating Diwali. It is about empathy, it's about your understanding, it is about visibility, it is about understanding the culture. So if I go to a Chinese festival, they are not just there for Chinese food, it's about what Chinese is all about. When it comes to India, it is about India. What India is all about. India is not just about chicken tikka masala. There is a lot more to it. So what with social media, as Amar just said, people are just sitting a keyboard warrior because they don't have that courage to tell you on the face. They just use the social media. But the sad part is a lot of people join them. And it is not just an Australian issue, it is a global issue. So most of the, if you go on the internet and search for all these things, not everything is was Australia. It is a global issue, whether it's UK, whether it's America. Racism against the migrants, especially against India, is rising in all these Western countries. It is very important to call it out. Call it out is okay, but at the same time, we need to educate and we need to engage and we need to empower and we need to be working towards a society where it's more cohesive, people are more understanding. And the thing is that the people who are making the fun and everything, they are a very small percentage. And I can bet that, the majority of people are always against it. The majority of people are amazing. They are amazing human, but it's only that few percentage of them. So as I said, everyone has to come together, whether it's community leader, community members, your leaders, your social media, your media houses. Everyone needs to come together and maybe start blocking these posts, have some mechanism. For example, even we are a very small group in this worldwide world, we have all these mechanisms. We do scan these posts. Anything goes again hatred, we block them, we remove them. This is how we have to work towards. We need better moderation, quick responses to the hate speeches. These speeches won't be visible if these people were there to action them very quickly. So if something comes up, if they delete it, this thing won't be even coming. It calls for stronger accountability as well. If as a I'm running a group Indian in Sydney, if something goes wrong, if there is a hate speech, it is our admin team accountability that we are not checking it. At the same time, its member, they have to report it. That something is wrong, they need to report it, and the people, the moderators, and the admin must take the action.
So that's a
But that's
really,
what I want to add something here. Sorry,
yes.
Nadeem made a very good point. Some of these groups set up like this, a couple of trucking groups that are out there to just bag Indian drivers and racist. And even when there's been local deaths, they celebrate that. But the moderators of those groups don't allow. So anytime you report to that group, they'll actually ban you for commenting in the group, or they'll remove you. But they don't ban people who are commenting racist or rude or laughing at a tragedy. And that is again those echo chambers that they've created, and there's a few thousand people there. So, for example, these trucking groups, I've raised this issue many times before as well. They are openly, I guess, targeting Sikh and Hindu faiths. They have used photos of gurus and say Hanuman and other Hindu deities and disrespected it in a way that we don't take it as a joke. So these groups again are run with a very narrow and negative mindset, and they think it's a Mickey out of everything. But the point is, it's not funny. It's not funny at all. Like I had one person who was complaining, "Oh, what about the cricket banter?" I said, "Well, have you ever seen me complaining about the banter in cricket? That's a sport. Anyone's allowed within the limits to say whatever they feel like and support any other country, right? But the point is, this is a tragedy. We don't want you to be holding vigils or whatever, but at least don't make mockery and fun of it." So that's where the buck has to stop, and these people have to be called out. And I think even a couple of the other Indian media houses have picked that up and published it. It becomes accountable then.
When I interviewed the Race Discrimination Commissioner, Giri Sivaraman, recently,
Yeah.
I asked him that in Australia, we talk a lot about race, but what is it that we are not speaking about? And he very openly said, we are not speaking enough about racism. And this is something that's true, I think, across the board, because we've got all of these multicultural bodies, advisories, government consultations, reviews, but end of the day, it's us speaking up to government, telling government what is the issue, but there isn't enough communication between communities, between Anglo-Australians and multicultural communities, in safe spaces where we can actually freely talk and share our truth. And I think that's like, even from Hindus for Human Rights, we try to do many interfaith events. We try to get many people to come in and have these sort of conversations. But somewhere we are not being able to address the root cause of racism. So my next question is that if we were to talk to government and say, look, one is, of course, as you said, greater accountability, these hate speeches need to be shut down. People who indulge in this need to be held accountable. But what else, from your point of view, can the government do to be more effective in combating racism?
I think, should Amar go first actually?
Yeah, please. No, you go. You're right. Go
All
for
right. The first thing is the acknowledgement. What's happening is we talk about multiculturalism, but we do not openly acknowledge the racism exists.
Mm.
That's one of the things. I mean, we are not speaking enough about how it hurts. We just talk about how it hurts or racism is bad, but we don't talk about the scars and how it actually silently shaped the life. So, because over the years, what's happening is uh, it has become, as I said initially as well, it has become a casual conversation.
Mm.
So, the government needs to first off acknowledge, and then as a community leaders from every community, no, I'm not just saying Indians, that they need to come forward as well. Even the community leaders here, again, it's my personal opinion. I mean, that we don't come forward to go raise our voice against something which is wrong. We are always here, okay. We are celebrating Diwali, we are celebrating Eid, we'll go there, take a photograph, and that's it. We are not talking about the real issues here, that this is what's happening to the community. So I think the community leaders need to step up there, and they need to present and they need to raise this issue with the government, especially when they are meeting them. They are meeting, and then the thing is that young Indian Australians are very, very vulnerable because we are the first generation. We just migrate from India, so we know what India is all about, and then we carry a life in Australia. Young Indian Australians are very confused people as well, because one, they are learning about the culture because they've never been to India. They want to learn the culture of Indian, and at the same time, they are in the school with the Aussie kids, right? So they are in a lot of dilemma. So it is our responsibility as well. Sometimes it can go again, uh, you know, uh, ignorant people being ignorant, that people are making fun of Indians or any other Chinese per se, but they are not being taken as seriously because they think this is a friendly conversation.
Factor. Mm.
And also, racism needs to be seen as offensive. We don't see that as a public issue. We have the policies, especially you have a bullying policy which covers the racism, but overall it's a public health issue. It is
Mm.
affecting your mental health being, it affects your school engagement, and at the same time the employment as well. People often say that this does not exist in the workplaces, but there is a subtle which always go unmissed. People don't see, they can feel it, but they
But you can't
can't
you can't pinpoint it always.
pinpoint it,
What do
unfortunately.
you think? Yes, that's very good point, Nadeem, that first we have to acknowledge it and governments need to be able to talk about it. Amar, what do you think? What can governments
I
do?
totally endorse all the points raised by Nadeem, but also going further, media houses need to be made more accountable. They need to monitor those comments. I remember many times we had to write to media to say, hey, these comments need to be taken off, or they need to even. One of the comments that I noticed was on Jason Wood, the MP for Melbourne, on his Facebook, and I actually tagged him to say, can you please remove this comment? So again, we have to call it out for what it is. It's no point just showing up to the Indian events or whatever religion they are from and just taking selfies and your job's done. Again, Nadeem made a very good point. The Indian leaders need to get away from this selfie culture and raise important issues when they get a chance, unless just take a selfie and you're done. I hate that culture where, fair enough, we all do it, we all take photos, but there has to be a serious side to the life and the event, that these are the issues we need addressed. Look at racism in schools on a young kid. That's again a very important issue, especially kids from faith. Like in the last year alone, I've dealt with about 5 young kids in Sydney, Melbourne, and at the moment we're working on something in Adelaide and Brisbane as well, where in high school they are being told to shave. Under the Catholic and private school policies, they have a grooming policy, so you must be well groomed. And a Western sort of definition of well groomed is clean shaven. So in Sikh faith, we have to have a beard. and young kids growing in teenage years, they start to sort of have a growth of beard or facial hair, and they're being told to either leave the classroom, go online, or wear masks. This is not right. So again, all of these issues have to be raised, because if we don't, again, it goes back to what does it cost our society? Mental health. You're going to have kids who are going to potentially, go into crime and not be at the best of their capacity. People are going to fall back in studies and work. We see many. There was an Indian girl that committed suicide that worked for EY a couple of years ago. She jumped off their building in Sydney. What was the reason behind that? Right? We got to call out for what it is, but also support the people that are going through these issues rather than just laughing it off. Because many times I've seen there was a death many years ago for an Indian lady at Harris Park. She committed a suicide in front of a train, and I just put a casual post on Facebook. And one of the social media influencers who did a lot of videos, he actually reached out. He goes, I'm suffering from depression, even from India. He was a young man. And he goes, my workmates actually would laugh when I tell them that I can't do anything. I have to have a rest and lay down or eat medicines. So we have to be more culturally sensitive to our people as well. Because in India, we do have this culture where we just say, hey, man up. And that culture has to stop. We have to be there to listen to each other and make sure that we support those people around us.
Such great points, Amar. I do want to ask you, this is outwardly, yes, government, yes, Anglo-Australians. What can we do in our communities to create sort of safe spaces for people to have some, some redressal, somewhere to go? Because there is also some amount of shame associated with racism. People don't want to always acknowledge that they themselves have experienced racism. So how can we make it safe? How can we create institutions or spaces where our community feels safe to come and say, look, I'm having this problem. I'm facing racism at the workplace. I'm facing racism at school. And they don't have to go through this by themselves. We have a whole thriving community here. What can we do to better support our own people?
I think we have to start somewhere. And again, the event life in Sydney is so good now all across Australia. I think there's multiple Eids and Gurpurabs and Diwalis. I mean, I don't know how many, but there's not one event for mental health or community well-being. And that's what we need to invest our time and energies into, so we can look after those people and say, hey, it's okay to go through whatever you're going through, be it domestic violence, be it dowry abuse, or so many issues, drug abuse. Drug is a huge issue in our society as well at the moment. Yeah, I got a call from a young doctor in Canberra where they have a drug bust that goes around, and she told me that there's about 30 young Punjabi temporary residents who come to get the methadone. So that's a hit for
Get
cocaine.
what? Sorry?
It's like a methadone, like it's a sort of a drug to control your cravings for the actual cocaine and other things. So there's people are hitting up those drug buses because that's the issues. But we are not talking about this. Alcohol at the moment, we've seen many deaths within the Punjabi community as well, where people have had liver failures and they've died from drinking excessive alcohol. Yet, if you look at our faith, we'll say, "Oh, Sikhs are not supposed to drink, or
It's all
Muslims are."
over, everything's.
But it happens in our society. Hindus are not supposed to do this, but it all happens. We need to address those issues because people do live life, and we
This
need to
is
talk
what
about
I
the
mean.
thing.
There's so much shame as well in admitting some of these things. Nadeem, what do you think? What can we do? This is so, I feel bad to take you away from your family today. I know
Yeah, she's the one. Yeah.
she wants your time.
Again, I mean, our Amar have already covered a lot of it. One thing is that, we need to stop judging. We need to stop judging. Oh, man up, man. Why are you crying? You don't cry, this and that. And this is one of the reasons people don't come forward. It could be a family issue, could be, community issue, could be shame. You know, the first thing we need to understand, racism, it's a human issue. It's not the government issue. It's a complete holistic issue. It's a community issue.
Mm.
It's an individual issue. If racism, we are silent, we are not talking about it, then the healing and the people who are going through it is always about being presenting a solidarity with that person. For the individual, I we tell in my group as well always that speak up, even if you're not comfortable, if you see racism, if you feel that you've been bullied, if you feel that you are going through something, you must not look away. You must talk about it. This is Australia. I mean, we have the laws and everything in place, but if
You
you're not,
can.
if you're not gonna speak up, you're not going to talk, no
Yes.
action will be taken, whether it's a joke, whether it's a slur, whether it's a meme, whether it's anything. That's not okay. We must speak up, because silence normally allows hate to grow. You see, if you are, I'll just give you an example. If you are at a workplace and somebody is coming to you, making fun of your beard, or making fun of your cap, or making fun of your, uh, just say your accent, you know, I, we Indian have a very strong accent. If someone is making fun of your accent one time, two times, just every day, we must speak up. We can't just take it as a fun that, oh yeah, yes, my accent is like that. That's what happens, because we ignore that part, and then these people, the people who want to be a racist or whatever, it gives encourage them. And the other thing is that educate ourselves. We need to educate our children. We need to educate and tell our children that you need to be proud of your identity, who we are. This is where we belong to, and this is our language, this is our skin, and this is our food.
Mm.
But even my son sometimes, Indian food, curry, curry, curry. Where they are hearing this from? This is what they're hearing in the schools.
Mm.
So we need to teach our kids that you need to be proud of your identity. And at the same time, I mean, this is another initiative we do at our Indian in Sydney. We need to share the stories of Indian heritage. India is not just about chicken tikka masala or curry. We have a lot more to it. If you talk about zero was invented by an Indian. You talk about all the CEOs for multinational companies are Indian. All these things, we should be proud of our identity. And if someone in community is facing the hate, we must support that person. We can't just, sit back and relax. Oh yeah, this belongs. Iska masla hai. It's not my issue.
Yes.
What happens in us, right? So we're not worried about if something is happening to Amar. We don't care. Let it happen. He'll sort it out himself. We are not together. There is no unity. If there is no unity, it's easy for anyone to create more division among us. We have already created so much of division. And the other thing is that we must be collaborating with other community. We are in Australia. We are not in it belongs to it. It is a multicultural community. We must be collaborating with Chinese. This is what I love about Amar. He's not just about just about the Indians or one community. He's with Koreans, Australians. This is Australia. That we are Indian Australia. We are part of Australia. We are not outsiders anymore. We are the society. We are the Australian. So this is what we need to do. That we must engage with the community, and of course engage with the government and institute and the schools. Maybe we can go in the schools and we can talk about and showcase the culture. This is what we are. This is what we do. So it's a holistic approach. It's just not just one thing.
I really love so many of the points you brought up. I mean, I feel like this is not one conversation. This needs to be ongoing. But one of the things that you have said, and what Amar has also said, I think it's important for us in the Indian community to have some sort of a toolkit for young people to be able
Mm.
to teach in for how do they handle it, when they are faced with a racist situation. What do? How do they handle it? To have some sort of tools for them to be able to diffuse the situation, address the situation, find recourse for the situation. And I think there are definite gaps over there, whether the gaps are because of language, of not feeling comfortable to speak up, lack of confidence, not knowing whether they'll be believed. There's so many ways in which young people keep things to themselves. And I think it's very important for us to find ways to make it acceptable for them to be able to share. So that's one thing. The other thing, what you said about inter-community support, what happens to Amar, what happens to Nadeem, what happens to Nandini, all of these things are interconnected. These are all our problems, not just one person's problem. And building this inter-community resilience can only strengthen all of us. And I know both of you believe in this very strongly. I think we need to do more to strengthen these kind of connections between our organizations, between our communities. Any final words on this, Amar? I do have one actually. Before I get to the last word, I do want to also address this. I mean, we cannot point fingers outside without also being a little bit introspective. We know Indians are also quite racist in certain ways, right? I'm Bengali, and some of it is in good humor. People will say Bengalis are always cold, they always want to eat fish, they want to wear their monkey cap and go out, they just want to listen to Rabindra Sangeet. Stereotyping is there. Some things are in fun and jest, which is fine. Some things can be a little bit more hurtful, can be a little bit more sort of hit deeper. And Indians can be very racist towards other people based on the color of their skin, based on physical features, based on economic sort of status. So all of these things are also there. And I think somewhere we also need to address these within our communities. The other thing that Indians can do is that we can be very insular. We're very happy. Like you said, Amar, that today you can find 5 options to eat pani puri. It's a good thing, but the bad thing is also then you don't need to mix outside. You don't need to be truly multicultural. You can come to Australia, you can lead the same life that you led in India, and you have no need to interact with anybody else. So there's a danger to multiculturalism even in that. I'd like your thoughts on that as well.
I think you said a lot of good points, and again, Nadeem made very nice points that are broader and beyond this conversation, initial conversation. Again, if you look at the racism within the Indian community, we also have caste system. I've heard from young people who said, "Hey, I work at a warehouse, and my supervisor is from XYZ state, and he only wants other people from his own state to work in the warehouse." Or people working in aged care. There was a guy who was from another country within the subcontinent. He will not let anyone else get a job there. He said, "Oh, you only have to employ these people." So again, there's issues within our community. But the thing is, one thing I always say this in my talks when I do public speaking: the person that hates you, he'll hate Nadeem, Nandini, and me for the same reason. For him, we're all Indians. We're all the same thing. Even if you're from Pakistan or Nepal, they don't care, right? Or if you're from, Sri Lanka, they just look at, oh, they're Indians. They don't have the understanding. So somewhere along the line, we have to let go of our egos as well and our insecurities within the communities and come together on the common issues. I remember speaking in Darwin at a Telugu school, and I was talking about racism and how people should volunteer. One of the young girls, she must have been about 7 or 8. She said, "What if someone doesn't stop?" I said, "Well, you get to report to your parents. What if they don't still stop? You have to report to your teacher." And after that, the guys who were at the school, they're like, "We've never heard a talk like this." I said, "Because you got to talk to these kids and tell them that you have to put up with this stuff, because a lot of times they're scared to talk to their parents and they're scared to talk to their friends. But then also the parents, being first generation migrants, we sometimes don't have enough time. So one thing I always encourage all of the young parents is, hey, how you go to the Gurdwara to Seva or Mandir or Masjid, make sure you volunteer one day at least in the whole year at your kids' school when they have a festival or something, because you need to give back. The concept of seva as we have, that's in every religion, no matter if whatever religion you follow, but we sort of confine it again to our own community. So seva just means volunteering. Go volunteer at kids' school. Again, you will form bonds with those parents and teachers at a different level, and then they can see the human side of you. So that's another way of giving back in a good Australian society. I think they're always open and accepting. I remember I arrived in Australia in '98. I started year 10 here, and soon enough, I think I heard about the Sydney Olympics. And that time we used to have newspapers, the weekly newspaper that used to come to your house for free, and the TV, right? Very limited technology back then in Australia too. So I applied for the volunteer role in the Sydney Olympics. And I was so amazed to see how openly I was accepted in that. And in my school as well, I did a lot of volunteering. So volunteering for me is a very good thing, as something we should take lightly. But again, we need to address those issues. And sadly, we don't have many platforms within our community. You see people reaching out to us, or you guys through media and other community groups. Hey, I've got this issue. How do I go, or where do I get help from? So again, having a platform where young people or new migrants can feel safe and protected is very important, and we need to again work on those things. and create a more inclusive environment within our communities, but also support those people when they become victims, because there's no shame in being a victim. Thank you.
Thank you, Amar. No, that's really good. Gosh, I feel like, we need to do a white paper based on this conversation because there's so many
Definitely.
great ideas coming out. Nadeem, did you have anything to add to that?
You guys have covered, most of it. Again, it's true that, and we have to be honest about it, that it does exist within our community as well. Uh, and again, to add to this, no community is perfect. I mean, we are Indian, we're talking about Indians, but this exists in the other community as well, whether it's Chinese. As no community is perfect. We all carry our biases. We all carry prejudice, and we act as a sometimes ignorance, not just like anyone else. Um, but as it's all about, when we become human, when we talk about that we are human, then we will be what I say, we will self reflect that are we treating other human with respect and fairness.
Hmm.
Mm.
But this will take a lot of time. Amar has been working for years. We've been working for you. It's not just easy. It's not easy because we must confront the casteism, colorism, religious intolerance. It's so much of division everywhere, not just based on the country. Then it becomes religion. Then it becomes the color. Then it becomes rich and poor. That becomes it's just so it list goes and on. The only way is to I think it's that when we become human, and which requires a lot of self-reflection and accountability. Um, when you talk about young kids, again, the young kids, we need to have put a lot of confidence in them that it's okay to speak, it's okay to talk, even if it is even your parents are doing something wrong, you should be empowered enough to talk about it. Yes, this was wrong. So these kind of, I think this comes from schooling as well. Our teachers and as a community leaders, we can do so much. But our young kids, they are in the school. The schools should be empowered enough that they are the teaching the human basis to the children. The racism is bad. You can't do this. So, and they should be empowered that they can talk about it. And at the same time, as a community, we need to build these bridges with the dialogues. I mean, we should be having these interconnected, inter-community events where we are not just like having a Bollywood dance or something that it's if we are doing something impactful, something that has a meaning where people are learning about it. And at the same time, of course, we have to celebrate and share a culture identity. But it's about that cohesiveness. And the other thing, one thing I just want to add is the mental health.
Mm.
We Indian, we don't care much about our mental health. We believe, as Amar covered initially as well, that a man, if he cries, he becomes weak. But that's
Mm.
not the case. If we are mentally strong, then only we will be able to contribute to the community. If we are not, then we will be just focusing on us. So this is what just want to say. And engage actively in the Australian society. It is very important that we engage in the political system. We engage in government policies. We engage in anything. We must put our side of stories in there. This is what is because at the moment, again, it's my view because they think that we are just here. If the Indians will take a photograph and that's it. That'll make us happy.
Hmm. We need to level up. We need
Level
to
up. We
have
need to
higher standards of what
exactly.
what can appease, so-called appease the diasporic community. No,
True.
thank you so much, guys. I mean, this has been such a great conversation. Some of the basic points that we've covered, really, I just want to round it up very quickly, is one that, we need to be able to have these conversations. Government needs to be able to talk about this. Mainstream media needs to talk about it. We need to build resilience in our young people. We need to make it okay to talk about racism. We need to de-shame these sort of conversations and create safe spaces. We need to look at mental health. And I think what you said about we have lots of events here, but where's the event on mental health? Where's the event on racism that actually talks about it head on? And I think this can maybe be the start of that event. And it's not just one event, it's actually a program that runs year in, year out, that continues to build. We continue to learn. We continue to get young people to come and be leaders in this conversation as well. And I think, with people like you, and there's so many other people. I know Sukhmani has been working a lot as an academic, being able to talk about these things. There's Priya. There's a lot of people who are talking about these things. We can all come together and we can create these platforms. And I just want to say thank you very much for joining me today to talk about this very important issue. Of course, as we started, we extend our solidarity with everybody who lost their lives or got injured or were traumatized by the accident that happened in Gujarat. Our prayers are always with everybody who's dealing with that still. It's still very fresh in people's minds. And I think as a starting point, we need to understand that when tragedies like this happen, we have to come together and address the things that add to people's misery and add to people's sadness, and figure out what we can do. If we can't help people, at least we should not add to the hurt and to the feeling of being isolated and left alone in such a tragedy. So thank you very much, and hopefully we'll connect again on this issue.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amma. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadeem. Lovely to see you.